Like in Portugal, it's 400 organizations. But that
already of the South, and then I think the weakness of this analysis is when we analyze what it means for European or Western countries. So it is very easy from the South to say, yeah, the West, but then the West is very different. So it was really important that you are here to explain that the West is also confronted to inequality and poverty, and so for me, probably we share this analysis that if here we are talking about more or less hidden agenda against the poor landless here in India, so it is the same agenda with the same minority have the same agenda against the poor in Western society. So we should try to link, so to find out what are the common, what are the common main points of this agenda.
Bring us to it. Otherwise we'll go tomorrow and there will be nothing for us to do together. And then with that forum, we can soon sit down and see, we draw an agenda, negotiables and non-negotiables.
And basically what we're saying is that we're doing these activities already at the national level and the local level. So how to bring it, to elevate it at the sub-regional or regional level. First is that in terms of the letters, we thought that it might be better not just to send letters to the government of India expressing the demand, but also encourage all the other countries to send letters to the different countries. So for instance, Sri Lanka, India, Nepal will send letters to the government of Indonesia. But we need to define, while we're operating on a general banner of land distribution or something like that, we can have specific demands per government, which has to be threshed out at the country level, and that can be sent to all the participants so that when we ask for letters for solidarity, then we can have sort of a pro forma for all the countries.
Really make the idea of this campaign life within Africa. We are thinking of reducing the African demands in what we call a common African land and livelihood charter, a kind of a charter of demands that we can place to the African leadership in terms of what the people of Africa are saying and they hope that the African states could work on. So basically, this was the broader parameters. We had our colleagues who are in Africa who also helped us to think through this, and I will just welcome any ideas that are left out to be added on.
One of them is the distribution of land, where small elites basically control large percentage of the land, just like in many of your countries. In Colombia, for example, less than 1% of the population own about 60% of the land. The armed conflict in Colombia, for example, revolves around land. We've been in an armed struggle for over 60 years in Colombia, and the struggle continues, and until there is land reform, the struggle will continue. Big landowners basically control the land. They're allied with transnational interests, who are also allied with the governments, who are also allied with the transnational interest. We have tension between the traditional agricultural methods of the campesino and the indigenous peoples with large-scale agribusiness. In Colombia, one of the biggest problems that we have are palm production, African palm, to produce biofuels. The same thing is taking place in Brazil. This leads to problems with food sovereignty issues, where the campesinos and the indigenous people produce food for subsistence. Now this monocrops that in Brazil, which is sugarcane to produce ethanol, the production of palm oil in Colombia to produce biodiesel, has basically put the people in problems of hunger and the lack of food security. This leads to the destruction of the environment, destruction of biodiversity, fauna, and huge water sources. Many of you know that in America, some of the largest and most biodiverse lands and one of the largest producers of fresh water for the world are endangered due to this tension between large landowners and the small campesino and indigenous people. All Latin America basically shares the same problem about land. We've talked about the need to fortify the base communities, unify the different groups who comprise the base communities. We need to continue alliances with the campesinos, with the indigenous groups, with the trade union organizations, something that we're trying to do in Colombia. Unfortunately, over the last 50 years, the social network of Colombia has basically been destroyed through assassination. Colombia continues to be one of the most dangerous places to work, to be a union activist or any type of social activist.